ready whenever.
Alright, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, first and foremost. All higher praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakadash. Double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles, preaching and teaching us the word of truth, and with sincerity as always. Without any further ado, we want to continue on where we left off in Daniel 7 about the 4 beasts, and Daniel 2 about the 4 really 5 parts of the statue: the head, the legs, and the chest, the belly and the thighs, the legs, and then the feet. And it's Revelation 13 fits right along with it too, with when the 7 heads, 10 horns. In the statue, it's 10 toes. In the Revelation and those 13 and Daniel 7, it's 7 heads, 10 horns. And I believe last time we left off, we were speaking on basically how, and let's get Revelation 11.
Okay.
2 to 3.
Revelation 11.
Yeah.
This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 2. And it says, "But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months." Verse 3 too.
Mm-hmm.
"And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." Okay, so when you're breaking this down, okay, what you got to understand is that John is seeing a vision, okay, and the angel is telling John that he's to measure the house of Israel, which is the temple, okay, and really we're in that time right now where brothers are being measured, okay. What is that in the book of Amos? "I will sift the house of Israel with a sieve," okay, and really that's the measurement process. All right, so where it says, "But the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not," he's talking about the Gentiles, okay, you nations that are going to be in the kingdom of heaven, right? But you're not a part of this new covenant. You're not a part of what is going to be given to the children of Israel. All right. Jeremiah 31:31 tells you who the new covenant is for. Romans chapter 9 tells you who the new covenant is for. It says the same thing in the book of Hebrews. All right. So this is why John was told not to measure, okay, the court which is without. All right. It says, "In the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months." Okay, that holy city being Jerusalem, aka the Israelites. Okay, Jerusalem is a people before it is a place. So Jerusalem being trodden down, okay, yes, it actually is the city, because right now, if you go to Ezekiel 36, it tells you that Esau has possession of the land. Right now, the Israelites as a people, which is Jerusalem, they're being trodden down right now as well, okay, in this beast system that we live in, all right? It says, "The city shall they tread underfoot 42 months, which is a specific prophetical period of time. All right, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses." Who are those 2 witnesses? Those 2 witnesses go into the northern and southern tribes, all right? Judah and Ephraim, okay? And all the tribes in between each of those 2. And it says, that's why you see brothers right now, okay? That's why you see the Hispanic, Native American tribes coming together with the Negroid tribes. "And they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." Meaning they're going to be in the lowest state. All right, we're going to be. What did the Lord say? I have left in the midst of thee a meek and afflicted peoples. Did you want to go to the next verse, or you want to go to Daniel's? Let's see. Let me get this. "I left in the midst of thee a poor and afflicted." So if you go to Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 12, it says, "I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people. Okay, that afflicted and poor people goes into the Israelites, okay, being in that lowest state. Okay. It says, afflicted and a poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. And that really goes into the elect. All Israelites are afflicted, all Israelites are being trodden down, but really there's only a remnant, okay, that are going to trust in the name of the Lord. Okay, and this is going into what's happening with us in that fourth beast, okay, that was killed and then revived. All right, we're in the revival of the Roman Empire. All right, that beast that was and is not, but yet is. Okay, Rome has been resurrected through the Edomite Renaissance. Okay.
And
Go ahead.
I believe I mentioned last time too, which was interesting, that just like Rome made peace with the nations that it destroyed and conquered, America made peace with the French and the Spanish, and then got to be in control of them, just like how Rome, through Caesar, one of the Roman Caesars, it was able to he conquered it says right here, he conquered some of the Belgic tribes. It says here, after Julius Caesar conquered the Belgic tribes, Rome integrated their territory into the Roman Empire as Gabar-yah-ahla, a province with significant autonomy and Roman influence. While some tribes resisted, Caesar's campaigns resulted in widespread subjugation, with some tribes being slaughtered or sold into slavery. The Romans also established new administrative structures, dividing the region into citates and pagi, while also gradually Romanizing the local culture and elites. Did you guys have something to finish there?
No.
Because I have this.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure you finish.
No, yeah, I finished that one.
Did you get Revelation 13:3?
Yep, Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. And it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Okay? And that goes into what, like I just said, all right? The entire world wondered after the beast whose deadly wound was healed. What was that healing process? That was a time period called the Renaissance, okay? Really starting around 1400s, okay? Going all the way up until, even today, right? The Renaissance time period we're in that. But, that deadly wound being healed is the revival of the Roman Empire, which is where we're in right now, okay?
Okay, if you can get verse 4.
Yep. Verse 4 says, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who was able to make war
You
with
can
him?
stop there. It says the dragon gave power unto the beast. That was the Roman Empire. Its military power and strength and victories over all the other tribes being brought to America, doing the same thing. They defeat the French, Spanish, and the Britain, and then conquer them. Basically, put them in their subjugation, just like the Romans did with the barbarian tribes. If you can get Revelation 17:3.
Revelation 17 and verse 3. And it says, so he carried me away in spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, this woman is going into Babylon the Great, but really a lot of that beast, okay, that she's sitting on, okay, with 7 heads and 10 horns. We went into that, I believe, in our first video going into the 10 barbarian tribes, okay? And those were the tribes that were living in Europe at the time when the Roman Empire was at its height, okay? I believe we went into their names. Okay, I can actually pull those up again if you want.
No, just get verse 8.
Verse 8, 17 and 8.
Yeah.
It says, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition.
Stop there. So basically the same thing it said in Revelation 13 again, that the dragon gave the beast its power. This one says its deadly wound was healed, right?
The beast that thou sawest was and is not, going into the fall, okay, and the rise, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. That bottomless pit goes into Europe, right? And it says, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. Okay? Yeah, Rome, right?
Jump to verse 11.
11 says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. Okay? Well, what's that eighth talking? Let's talk about the eighth head. Okay, if you go into the actual heads, those are going into those Edomite nations that each had their, their so-called empires. Rome and the Greeks were one of the heads. Okay, you also had Spain, France. Actually, I can name them right now. These are the heads that are on the beast. Okay, you have Germania Major. You had Romans. You had French. Okay.
We mentioned that one.
Yeah, I think we went over that in the last video.
I just remember, because actually I was looking at where you stopped, and now I see here.
Okay, go ahead.
Here it was in Revelation 11 and 11, because last time we left off I remember I left off here where, if you remember, I believe we mentioned the Exodus Moses that was trying to kill baby Moses, and then baby Gabar-yah-ahla.
You want Revelation 11:11?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. And it says, after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Gabar-yah-ahla entered into them. Claudia, can you grab him, please? Thank you. Slap it, y'all. It says,
actually, Revelation 12 and 6, because I want to make sure.
Revelation what?
12 and 6.
12 and 6.
Yeah.
And it says, the woman fled into the wilderness.
Yeah, oh yeah. So that's where we left off, I remember.
Yep, go ahead. You want me to read it again?
Revelation 11:11?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Revelation 11:11. And it says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Gabar-yah-ahla entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and a great fear fell upon them which saw them. Okay?
It said 3 days and a half, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, and after 3 days and a half, yep. The
Yep.
3 days and a half is spiritually 3 days and a half, again, meaning 250 years from 1620 to 1970. Same thing it says in verse 3, I think it said it in verse 3 as well. If you read it up. And in Revelation 11 and 3, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. There's basically, in the Hebrew calendar, there's only 360 days to a year. If you add a time, that's 1 year, times 2 years, half a time, that's half a year, it's all equals 1,260 days. Basically 3 years and a half.
That's right.
but it's a spiritual 3 years and a half. It's 3 days and a half as well, referred to as 3 days and a half, 350 years.
That's right.
Also, if you can get Revelation 12 and 6.
Yep, Revelation 12 and 6 says, "And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, that they should feed her there 1,260 days."
So it says the same thing right there. If you can get Daniel 7 and 25.
Daniel.
Actually, I got it here.
Go ahead.
"And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, times, and the binding of time." So to prove there's only 30 days in each month, this is Genesis. Actually, you can get Genesis 7, verse 11.
Genesis chapter 7, verse 11 says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened."
Okay, read it again because I kind of...
Genesis 7 and 11, it says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened."
Now jump to Genesis 8 and 3 to 4.
Genesis 8 and 3, and it says, "And the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated." It says, verse 4 says, "And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat."
So that's five. It was 5 months. 150. This equals 150 days. Plus the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month. So that's 5 months. 150 days is equal 5 months. 30 days per each of those 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Do the math. So 15, 5, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. It's through by 100, 150. That's the. Tell us what month it was again in that? Genesis 8, 3 to 4.
Genesis 8, verse 3. And it says, "And the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days were the waters abated, and the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month."
There you go, and then you read back in Genesis 7:11. That was on the 2nd month, 17th day.
Yep, that was
It's 5 months.
Yep, exactly.
This is in verse Revelation 11. I think this was Revelation 11 and 5. "And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed." And that's the spiritual power. That's what we're gonna get. Same thing. It goes all the way back to Egypt once again. And today's spiritual Egypt.
Actually, that reminds me of another verse. If you go to Revelation 2 and 16, okay? Now that specific verse is talking about spiritual power, right? In these last days, there's actually going to be the men of the Lord, which are the prophets, okay? Which also talks about the 2 witnesses, both northern and southern tribes. We're going to be getting spiritual power if we're the men of the Lord. But if you go to Revelation chapter 2, go to verse 16, okay? It says, "Repent, or else I come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword out of my mouth. Now, what we're doing right now is this Bible, okay, this word is likened unto a sword in the book of Hebrews, okay? And when we speak these words, okay, in the right doctrine, it's like a weapon, all right? And right now, what you could liken this unto is brothers are being trained up in warfare. However, it's going to come to a point where the words that coming out of our mouth are going to be actual weapons, okay? So like it says in Revelation 11, fire is actually going to proceed out of the mouth of the men of the Lord, okay? But, for the men, like, for example, Captain Cesariak, or did you see that video of that bug out? Everybody's doing a video on him.
Saint and sinner.
Yeah, him and that new one, that dude that was bugging out, smoking a Black and Mild in his car.
Oh yeah.
The guy that cursed El Pastor, that guy. They're not gonna have fire proceeding out of their mouths during that time, okay? So these scriptures they line up in order. There's a specific way you gotta maneuver through these scriptures, right? And the people that are gonna be breathing that fire, okay, are gonna be the ones that can do that, all right?
Revelation 12:6. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have powers over waters to turn into blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And right now, you've been having these floods hitting many various cities in America, Babylon, right now. And this is just an example of that right here. This is my favorite scripture to go back to prove that the prophets have the power to send these plagues right now. Verse 7, just same thing Moses did with ancient Egypt back then. We're doing the same thing with modern day Egypt today. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that is sent out of the bottomless pit, that's Esau once again, shall make war against them, and he shall overcome them and kill them. Something that ancient Egypt couldn't even do. They couldn't kill the man of the Lord. Esau's going to be able to actually touch some of the man of the Lord. Once again, the great authority in Revelation 13:3. If you can go back to Revelation 13:3.
Yep, Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. And it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Okay, going into the fall of the Roman Empire. And his deadly wound was healed, starting in around 1400s at the Renaissance time period. And all the world wondered after the beast, going into that coalitions of nations, the barbarian tribes coming together after the fall of the Roman Empire and reestablishing themselves after 1,000 years of being put into a low estate by the Lord. Okay, so the deadly wound was healed, meaning Esau got his power back. Okay, and we're still under that power structure right now.
This is Daniel 7:8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, it's America, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn there were eyes like the eyes of men, and a mouth speaking great things. And those great things is basically Esau clock us through these wicked elites and their agendas. Like a prime example of the WEF, World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab speaking about the 4th Industrial Revolution. And basically that's them basically trying to get rid of the Most High and rid of the natural way the earth is ran and replacing it all with AI and
technology,
witchcraft.
Yep. And I was listening to Elder Yashawama this morning, and he made an interesting observation. Let me see if I can find it. Because if you think about what Bill Gates does, he owns a company called what? Microsoft. Micro meaning small, soft going into software, small software. Okay, and that's the ultimate goal of the elite, is to bring forth a microchip or micro software that can be embedded into your skin and integrated with the human biology. Okay, now he made an interesting observation. Let me get this in the Greek. If you just look up the word poison, okay, in the Greek, let me go to James 3:8. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. And I believe this should be the right word. Okay. Sorry. The word poison in the Greek is yeah, ios. Okay, see that right there? It says eos. That's the word for poison in the Greek. Now think about what kind of technology do I have in my hand right here. This is called an Apple iPhone. Now the symbol of the apple, you go back to the garden, right? Adam and Eve were it was the analogy that was used was them, they took a bite out of a forbidden fruit, which is likened unto an apple in today's time, which we know that's not an apple, it was an actual philosophy. But if you look at all the Apple technologies, right? iPhones, laptops, computers, anything that has to do with Apple, it's an apple with a bite taken out of it. Okay? Now, Esau Edom, the devil that he is, the deceiver that he is, he uses witchcraft, aka technology, in order to establish his kingdom on the earth. Okay? Now, that word for poison, eos, it's ios in the Greek. Okay? What software is embedded in all of our Apple technologies? It's the iOS platform. Your phone runs off of the iOS operating system. So in order for your phone to work, which by the way, Esau Edom has done a great job of poisoning our people. So now you go anywhere in America, especially with Jake, you can't live without your phone. You're addicted to your phone, your technology. You're addicted to your TV, your laptop. You're addicted to the internet access. It's that poison that Esau Edom has been injecting into you slowly over time, where now he's getting ready to rip all of that away from you, but you're addicted to the poison. So when he comes with his EOS or iOS software, he says, just put it under your skin, right? Now he's got you, okay? Revelation 13 and 16, that's that microchip that he's gonna bring out, okay? That software, that Microsoft, okay?
That was a good point. Where do you learn that from?
Elder Yashawamba this morning, man. He did a video on it, and I said, man, I gotta make a video on that. But yeah, just to bring that point out, the word for poison in Greek is eos or ios, and it's literally spelled iOS, and that's the literal platform software that uses all Apple technology uses.
And I got this Revelation 7 and 20, and of the 10 ones that were in his head, and of the other which came up before him fell, even of that one that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And this is going into America, persecuting the prophets back in the time, who was the ancient Rome, persecuting the ancient believers of Yahweh Shai, that's where you find all those tribulations Apostle Paul and John the Revelator, all the apostles were going through. The same thing that this devil was going to do today. That's why it says, who spake very great things, whose look was more stout, meaning more proud than his fellows, because Esau, once again, he's that sword, he's a very carnal man, and the thing about a carnal man, it's just about flesh, the carnality in his physical strength and riches. He's always, you notice, they're always the most prouder individuals. That's what Esau is. That's what his blessing is. That's what he was made to be. The Lord designed this devil to be, naturally be that type of nigga.
Yes.
If you can get Revelation, unless you had something.
Well, yeah, I wanted to bring up that point that you were saying. Esau Edom is a carnal man, and he's been able to use the sword. Okay, that's his blessing. If you go to Genesis 27. All the way down to Esau's blessing, verse 40, it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live. That's carnality. Esau was given the blessing to make war and to be able to conquer the earth through colonization and death. And it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live and serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion. And a lot of people skip right over this. We talk about Esau's carnality and his sword all the time, and we know he's a weapon of war. He's the sword of the Most High. But it also says, this is a very significant utterance that Isaac gave. He said, it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Like we were going into Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, and Daniel chapter 13 and 17, Esau was prophesied to have dominion over the earth. Daniel chapter 2 is about all the kingdoms that would rule the earth. You know, you got to ask a lot of these people that are not biblically literate, well, Isaac prophesied that Esau was going to have the dominion at some point. You have to be able to show us when that started. When did Esau get dominion? And when did it end? When did Esau's dominion over the planet Earth stop? Well, it hasn't stopped. We're still in it. Okay? And that was going into, like you said, that deadly wound that was healed. Esau had dominion as the Greeks and then the Romans. Then he fell for 1,000 years. And he came back. That's the system we're living in now. Okay? The beast whose deadly wound was healed. All right? So this is the dominion that Isaac was talking about. When thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay? Very important prophecy right there. That's a very important prophecy. Esau, Edom was prophesied to have dominion over the earth. 2nd Esdras 6, right? And 9. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay? That's also a prophecy of Esau, Edom having dominion over the earth. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Okay? He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. Esau, Edom is the wicked. He was prophesied to have the earth given into his hands. Okay, people skip right over that, you know.
I got this one.
Go ahead.
2nd Esdras 12 and verse 3. And I saw and behold, they appeared. This 2nd Esdras 12, by the way, just to give you some context, when you go to the 11th chapter in 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter is going all into the history of the last years of Esau's reign as the Roman Edomite emperors, the 12 Caesars.
Yep. The eagle with wings.
2nd Esdras 12 and verse 3. And I saw and beheld, there appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then I awakened out of my trouble. Alright, I'm gonna skip down to verse 30. It signified that these are they whom the highest have kept unto their end. This is the small kingdom and full of trouble, as thou sawest. And the lion whom thou sawest rising out of the wood, and roaring and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness, with all the words which thou hast heard. This is the anointing which the highest has kept for them, and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them, and shall upbraid them for their cruelty. Notice it says cruelty right there, because Esau really was the first to come up with those cruel, very offensive tortures, the deaths, the judgments that he passed on to the Yahushai's disciples, the Yahushai's anointed ones, the little ones. Right? The scripture says, if you offend any of his little ones.
Let me get this as well. Job chapter 20 and 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed on earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Who is the wicked? Who is the hypocrite? That's really going into Esau, Edom. It says the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. See, Esau, Edom is triumphing right now. Okay? What does it mean to triumph? Let me see if I can get that in the blue letter. Job 20 and verse 5, the word for triumph is ra'ana. Okay? And it says reigning cry, shout for joy. Okay? Joyful noise. It says a shout, joyful voice. And Esau, Edom is he's in his blessing right now. Well, you know, as we get closer and closer to the end, you're seeing more and more Edomites start complaining, whining, they can't make it, they're being oppressed by their own people. You know, just seen a couple shorts today about this Edomite who had his food stamps slashed after he voted for DJT. So now these Edomites are starting to have these curses put upon them. But for such a long time, under this fourth beast that was resurrected, these Edomites have been living it up. Man. These Edomites have been able to triumph, okay, and trodden down Jerusalem. All right, and that's being reversed right now. Okay, let's go to verse 6 right here. This is the last point. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever. And that goes into another point. All right, Esau Edom has no idea what's coming for him, man. That the blessing and the rulership that he was given, the dominion that Isaac prophesied about, okay, the Romans, or the Greeks, the Romans, okay, and the other Edomite nations that ruled, okay, all the way to America. It says, yet shall he perish forever like his own dung. They which see him shall say, where is he? Okay, Esau Edom is getting ready to perish forever. What does that mean, perish forever? It means you're not coming back here. You're going to be dead. That means all of your male descendants are going to be eliminated. I actually made a video yesterday morning on my way to work. I had some time, so I made a quick video on, these devils being exposed over there in the land of Israel. But it says right here, it says they're going to perish forever for what they've done to, first and foremost, Yahushai. Second of all, the children of Israel. Third of all, to the world. Okay? To the world they destroyed. All right? So yet Esau Edom is in his dominion. We're in this Roman captivity right now. But it says, yet shall he perish forever like his own dung. Okay?
I had something.
Go ahead.
You can get Revelation 13 and 5.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 5. And it says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
A mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Same thing in here in Daniel 7:21. I behold, in the same horn made a war with the saints and prevailed against them. And this is what this devil was going to do once again. This is what they did in the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, they would take the Christians too and then throw them out in the gladiators, right? And put them with the lions. Make the lions eat them. The whole stadium would watch it. They'll root for the fucking lions to tear up the Christians and shit.
Yep. Which, by the way, the Christians were Israelites. Okay, they did not make a distinction between a Christian and an Israelite. Christianity today is nothing more than a rebrand, a ripoff of what was actually going on in the Roman Empire.
You can get one more precept.
Yep.
Revelation 13 and 7.
Revelation 13, verse 7. And it says, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Okay, Esau Edom had the power. Okay, really, in 1492, when Christopher Columbus sailed over here to the Americas and conquered the northern tribes. Okay, it wasn't too long after that the British and the French started taking slaves from the west coast of Africa and bringing them over here to a place that was known by Edomites where they would be able to hold slaves. Okay? Do you want me to keep reading? Or?
Which I just wanted to bring it that because Daniel 7, it mentions those great things here in Revelation. It's the same thing. It's saying the same thing that this beast is going to be doing, making war with the saints. It's just another way to prove that it's the same beast.
Oh, I got another one. Just the chapter before, Revelation 12 and 15, and it says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, which is Israel, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. okay, that he might cause him to be carried away of the flood. That flood goes into a lot of things that he's spewing out of his mouth. Because remember, it says the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood. So when he comes in with his false doctrines, when he comes in with his slavery, his apartheid, his science, his pseudoscience, okay, Elder Yashwamba calls it scientific racism. Okay, so that's exactly what it is. But all the things that he spewed, the lies, the blasphemies that came out of his mouth to cause us to be carried away, to forget who we are, Jeremiah 17:4, we will discontinue from our heritage. A lot of that came from the dragon, the Roman, okay, spewing that vile poison, that flood out of his mouth. Psalms, the 83rd chapter, right, says that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Okay, how did they do that? Well, first, they enslaved the first generation. They beat the Israelite out of them. The next generation, they didn't allow them to speak the language, name their kids the names, teach the correct doctrine out of the Bible. So it was a process, okay, if you read the Willie Lynch letters, it was a process of turning Jake into the perfect slave, all right?
Was that it you had on that?
Yeah, that was.
This Revelation 12 and 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. The devil, which deceives, Satan, which deceives the whole world. And that's how really Esau started all that. Going back to the garden, he deceived the woman. It's no surprise that's how he's getting his power here by that same tool of deception he used back in the garden.
Kind of.
And this is Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Yeah, that's what I want to do. And then if you can get something for me.
Yep.
2 Thessalonians 2.
2 Thessalonians 2 and 9. Book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 9, and it reads, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Okay? Whose coming is after like the working of Satan? Esau, Edom, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Okay, what does it say? Signs. What is one of his signs and wonders? Okay, his technology, like we were going into, even this cell phone we got right now. This is a wonder of Satan. This is a wonder, a sign of Esau, Edom. Okay, the fact that we have what's called smart TVs, we have interconnected digital devices that we can all link up and we can all connect with all over the world. Okay, this is the technology that the Heavenly Father Yahweh has allowed Esau, Edom to bring forth into the earth to ultimately fulfill his purposes of prophecy. But remember, the lying signs and wonders ultimately is going to culminate into that microchip. Okay, that software that's got to go under your skin, the chi, the psi, and the stigma. All right, that's going to be inserted under your skin. Okay, and then you're going to be getting like, you know how like you don't update your phone for a while, it'll automatically update. You know, it won't even ask you. Imagine that, but being inside your body. Esau Edom is going to be able to update your brain, update your consciousness to the way he wants it to be without your permission, because he's technically allowed to do that because he has ownership. He has a patented device inside of your body. You don't own that device inside your body, right? Just like you don't own anything outside of the world. All right. So he has access to your body through this device. Okay.
Was that it you had on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you still on 2 Thessalonians?
Yep. 2 and 9.
Keep reading. 10.
Verse 10, and it says, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay? So, the ones that have not received the love of the truth, which is the 2/3, Okay, the ones that have not received the love of the truth, but actually were deceived. That's why it says deceivableness by who? The one that comes after the working of Satan. They love this technology. They love this world. They love that they can go on their little iOS phone and order DoorDash and sit at home and, you know, chill, and all they gotta do is go to work, come back home and chill and do what they want to do. They love that. It's the deceivableness of the devil. Okay? But it says to in them that perish because they receive not the love of the truth. When we told them you gotta separate. At some point we're gonna separate from all this technology. At some point we're gonna separate from this world and from this system. Okay? But when you tell the ones that are going to perish that you got to separate, you got to say no at some point. They're looking at us crazy. They don't receive the love of the truth, right?
You have more on that? Keep reading.
11.
Yeah.
And for this cause, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, shall send them strong delusions that they should believe a lie.
And those strong delusions is basically that this is all there is to life. That
right.
Esau has their best interest, that you know they can live their dream life in the spiritual world with the you know, a thick woman, a nice fine woman in the virtual reality. They can't get that in real life, so he imagines that there's gonna be niggas that believe that that's gonna make them fall for. That's why they're gonna make them. That's why they're gonna easily fall for that destruction, that deception that the Lord's gonna send on them.
Let me get this. Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay upon horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh. Okay? What did it say in verse 11? And for this cause, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall send them strong delusions that they should believe a lie. So they believe in Esau's system. They believe in the United States military. They believe in the politicians. They believe in the education system. You still have people, you know what's weird is you still have people that are going to college to get degrees and become whatever professional that they want to become. For me, it seemed weird that people were doing that back in 2015, you know, but people are so delusional that they actually believe that there's some sort of a happy ending for this place. Okay, and when me and we go out in the highways and byways, we can see it. All right, we see these people walking around with no idea what's going on, absolutely bugged out of their minds and absolutely delusional. Okay, so that's one reason why it's important for us to go out, is because we can actually see this delusion that the Heavenly Father has put on other people. Man.
Do you finish verse 11?
I'll read it again.
Okay.
And for this cause, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie.
So once again, people are, but the elect is opposite, because it says if it were possible, the elect shall deceive the very elect. Once again, that it's the Esau's and Satan's main and top of attack they like to use to make you fall for their plans. The spiritual demon Satans will always try to deceive you, to make you go the other way instead of the way of the Lord. And Esau will also do the same thing on a physical level as well. This is Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep you from the hour of temptation. This is when the mark of the beast comes out. Another attack device to Satan and Esau is going to use. Esau is a so-called white man, by the way, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay, this hour of temptation is going to come out everywhere, all over the world. In China, Russia, because all these nations, they're in the same agenda. They all have meetings together. They all FaceTime each other, and they all have the same agenda that they gotta fulfill for their elites, the wicked elites. You had something?
Yeah, Revelation 13:13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Okay, near Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? What did Esau do? He dropped nuclear weapons all right? Atomic bombs. Well, now he has nuclear weapons, and they have the ability to do that from about 30,000 feet in the air. Okay, and it says, and deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So this new revived Roman Empire, like it said in 2 Thessalonians 2:9, he deceived a whole lot of people because he was able to do great power. And I read in Isaiah 31, they trusted in Egypt because his horses were strong. Okay, they trusted in Egypt because he had the power to drop bombs from 50,000 feet. They trusted Egypt because they were deceived, because the Lord made them believe and be truly deceived in that way. Okay, let me read that same verse, but in the NLT. 2 Thessalonians 2:11. So Yahweh Shem Yahushai will cause them to be greatly deceived, and they will believe these lies. Okay? The lie that Esau Edom is ultimately the ultimate power of the earth, and nobody can rule the earth other than him. If he's not ruling the earth, the whole world is going to blow up. You know, that's what Christians believe. Christians believe, any Christian that tells you that the world is going to be destroyed at the return of the Lord, the whole earth is going to blow up. All right? You know, everybody's going to die unless you're a Christian. You call on Jesus Christ. All right? Christians believe that once Esau Edom's rulership is done, this world is going to be blown up. No, nothing after this. Okay? You just go to heaven and dance on your twinkle toes. Okay? That's what Edomite Christians want you to believe, that after them, there is no more rulership. But when you read the scriptures, it tells you that that is not true. That Yahweh Shai is going to establish a kingdom on earth that is going to be ruled for eternity by him, first and foremost, and then the rest of the elect, starting with the 144,000. Okay?
I got Revelation 12:17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant. Once again, now Esau is going to come down with us to try to eliminate us. Esau wants obviously Esau is going to want to take us out because of the word we're speaking here. And went to make war with the remnant of his seed, which keep the commandments of God, which prove you got to keep the commandments of the Lord, and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, the true name Yahweh Shai. So that's the great authority once again. Going back to Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a times, and the value of time. Now I got some commentary I want to read here in Daniel 7, verse 7 and verse 8. And it says here, the fourth beast is not given a name, and therefore must have the character of an unknown hideous monster. It foreshadows the Roman Empire. The 10 horns are 10 kings in verse 24. And the little horn is another king who will arise after the 10 and be coexistent with them. The little horn will subdue 3 other kings, verse 24, and will persecute the saints, verse 25. The identification of the 10 horns and the little horn has generated much discussion. The 10 kingdoms represented by the 10 horns may be the nation that will grow out of the old Roman Empire, or they may be 10 future kings who will rule over some form of a revived Roman Empire. We already discussed that's America and NATO. The parallels between this fourth beast and the beast in Revelation 13 are unavoidable. The description of the beast, i.e. the Antichrist, in that passage is clearly intended to depict the same individual as in Daniel's portrayal in verse 25. Thus, Daniel gives a foreview of the work of the Antichrist in the tribulation period and states that he will emerge from the remnants or revival of the Roman Empire. Now, You got something there?
No, I was gonna hit that Greek.
Because I got something. That's why you can get that.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Daniel 2 and going back to Daniel 2 and 33. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. So his legs of iron, we discussed that. That's the Roman Empire. His feet part of iron, part of clay. That's the revived Roman Empire, with part of it being more weak. It says here. That iron once again is I wrote here. The iron once again is Rome, ancient Rome. His part of clay is America, right, which technically is a fifth kingdom, but technically it's still part of the fourth, the legs. But it's not counted separate because it's the same kingdom. Here in Daniel 2, it's being included to the fourth beast as part of the feet made of clay and iron. In Daniel 7, it's referred as the little horn. In Revelation 13, it's referenced as a beast whose deadly wound was healed, like in Revelation 17. But it's all the same beast, dragon, 10 toes, 10 horns, same thing. Because you can argue that the dragon and the beast is separate creatures or kingdoms, but that's not true. It's the same, because Daniel 7, the fourth beast has 10 horns, Revelation 13 and 3. It's a dragon with 10 horns, same as in Revelation 13 and 1. It's a dragon once again with 7 heads, 10 horns. Verse 2, it's a beast who's given authority by, in Revelation 13 and 2, it's a beast given authority by the dragon. Verse 3, which is a part of the 7 horns. In Revelation 17 verse 11, the beast that was and is not, but is of the 8th. So that's the same thing in Daniel 2. Here, the last part of the statue, the feet is being revived. There.
Let me add this real quick.
Yeah.
Daniel 7 and 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, going into the uprising of the American Empire. Okay, now the Ak mentioned Daniel 2. Daniel 2 goes into a lot of the kingdoms, okay, that were going to rule this world, the main kingdoms, in fact, that were going to rule this world. And a lot of confusion comes in because one of those kingdoms was removed from the Bible, okay, going into the Greek Empire. Gold, silver, brass, which is the Greeks, okay. I think it was the stomach of brass, wasn't it? Stomach of brass would have been the Greeks. Now, in the back of my Bible, I have some of the history going into that, okay. This is a commentary. It's on the Maccabean Revolt. It says, inspired by Mattathias. Mattathias' actions, Mattathias Maccabeus, actions, other Jews joined him and his family, waging guerrilla warfare on the Syrians, which was the Seleucid Empire, the Edomites, okay, that conquered Judea. And the Hellenistic Jews, they also waged warfare on the Hellenized, heathenized Israelites that consented unto Antiochus Epiphanes, okay? And this was the start of Esau's empire, his first beast that he got, all right? That's that leopard, okay? And it says, and the Hellenistic Jews who supported them, the rebels faced considerable odds, not only because the resources of the Syrians could bring to bear, but also because as Orthodox Jews, they would not fight on the Sabbath, okay? It says they paid a heavy price for this principal stance on the Sabbath. A group of Orthodox Jews was surrounded and murdered, refusing to take up arms, defending themselves. Following this episode, Mattathias began to suggest that fighting in self-defense was permissible on the Sabbath day. So that's where a lot of that contention came from in the New Testament. Remember, when you're reading through these beast systems, okay, you got to understand that the Israelites that fought and died and spilled blood in order to keep their heritage, they looked at the Israelites that consented unto Alexander and the Seleucid Empire, they looked at them as traitors. They looked at them as heathen Gentiles, like you're no longer a part of our people. Okay, this is why when you go, okay, to that fourth beast, you're under the Roman Empire. It was a major point of contention when the descendants of those Israelites who fought and died and struggled to keep the law, statutes, commandments, and keep the temple, when they heard that those people, those Israelites who didn't fight, that were weak and that consented and basically betrayed their heritage, when they heard that they were able to come back through Yahushua, they were pissed. They were pissed off. Okay, and that is where you get the strife and the contention between what is called the circumcision, the Jews that kept the heritage, that kept the fight going, and the uncircumcision, which were the Israelites that left off and forsook the covenant of their fathers. Okay, and they hated them. They didn't like them. They didn't want them to come back. This has nothing to do with letting Gentiles of other nations come into our covenant. Okay, and I think they bring up a lot of that. They'll bring up in the book of Acts. They'll bring up Cornelius. Okay, where it says he was of another nation. Well, the Israelites that left off, okay, they were considered other nations now. Okay, Cornelius, what was he? He was a centurion. Okay, he was working for the Edomite government empire structure. So when the circumcision looked at him, they looked at him as a traitor. They looked at him as another nation, even though he was an Israelite. Cornelius was an Israelite, but they called him another nation. Why? Because he consented. He was working directly for Esau. He was working directly for Rome. And as a matter of fact, he was in a high position. Okay? He was working for the Romans. It's kind of like you see a Jake, that's a judge, right, in America today. And they sentence other Jakes to prison, right? Cornelius was probably doing the same thing. He was probably going around, right, Judea and hemming Jake up. And he was a centurion, okay? So this is where you get the true understanding of these beasts, man. You got to understand what was going on inside of each one of these beasts, okay? Every single one of them is about the captivity of the Israelites. And we're bringing out the last beast, the one that was revived from that deadly womb, that one that we're bringing out now, okay? That we're going into what's happening today in America. That last beast is America, okay? In its allied nations in Europe, all right? So I just want to bring that up.
And this is Daniel 2 verse. So I want to reiterate once again how basically Esau ruling as America, winning the 3 revolutionary wars, Spain, France, Britain. That was him being revived. That's really when he fully got revived as the Americans. Verse 40, and the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And I want to reiterate where it says break in pieces there, because when you go back to Daniel 7 verse 7, it also mentions how this fourth beast, dreadful, terrible, devoured and breaking and strong sealing, and had great iron teeth, and devoured and broken pieces all these other kingdoms, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it had 10 horns. Going back to Daniel 2 verse 41, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, don't forget it mentioned it stamped the residue with the feet of it. And you go back to Daniel 2, the feet of that statue is still the fourth beast. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, right? It stamped the residue with its feet. Here in Daniel 2:41, the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with mirrored clay. In it the strength of iron, because the ancient Rome was known as the strong, disciplined kingdom. So America, Edom still has some of that strength left, like he had when he ruled Rome. Especially going back in the time. And today, not as much anymore because it's all prophetic. He's going to end up falling down and losing all his strength now. The brother mentioned the Saints of Jersey. I saw the video. There was the dream of the Russian troops coming in here, and how Eve was mentioning how she was in the military, and she knows that the Russian military is way more disciplined than the U.S. military today.
And not to mention the fact that the Russian military is currently battle hardened. Okay, they're in a war right now, so their soldiers are actually currently battle hardened. The United States military is not battle hardened at this moment. Okay, because Russia's been fighting Ukraine for how many years now? Like 3. They've been at war for like 3 years now. And the United States soldiers are sitting, we're over here, eating ho-hos and, fucking drinking beers, eating ho-hos and celebrating 4th of July. When World War III kicks off, okay, the United States military is not, I'm just speaking as towards the soldiers. Like you said, she said that the soldiers were not ready for that, okay? The United States military is going to get, it's going to be in for a rude awakening when it comes to the readiness, the preparedness of their actual fighting force, which is why they're going to need that conscription, okay? That talks about that in the Apocrypha, about that conscription. I think I'll try to find it, but it talks about how there's going to be a conscription because so many of the United States soldiers are going to be eliminated in battle, okay? So
I just want to finish this one.
Go ahead.
Verse 40, Daniel 2 and 42, and going back to that point. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Going back to the point the brother made, and I myself just made about how this kingdom of America is not as disciplined. Their military's numbers aren't as great as they used to be, and their missiles are outdated. While China and Russia are constantly upgrading their nuclear missiles arsenal. I'm gonna get some commentary on Daniel 2, verse 32 to 45. The sections of the image are said to represent kingdoms. The head of gold specifically stated to picture Nebuchadnezzar or his kingdom Babylon. The arms of silver represent the kingdoms of the Medes and Persia. The belly and thighs of brass, better bronze, represent Greece. The legs of iron foreshadow the Roman Empire. The latter weakness of the Roman Empire is well represented by the dubious mixture of iron and clay. The stone cut without hands that destroyed the last kingdoms represents Yahushua Mashiach, who at his return will destroy Gentile world power. Notice it says right there, the keyword Gentile world power. And set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. After comparing the 10 toes of the image with the 10 horns of the beast in Daniel 7:24, it seems clear that the 10 toes stand for 10 kingdoms or kings which will emanate from the Roman Empire and be in existence at the time of Christ's return. Critical scholars, in an attempt to eliminate any supernatural prophecy at this point, date the book of Daniel in the 2nd century BC, after the kingdoms of Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece had ended. At the same time, they eliminate the Roman Empire from the picture, even though it would still have been failure even in the 2nd century BC, by separating Media and Persia into 2 separate kingdoms, the 2nd and 3rd respectively, leaving Greece to be the final kingdom pictured in the image. However, it is plain from both history and from Daniel's usage that Media and Persia were regarded as a single unit. Note, for example, the references to the law of the Medes and Persians, Daniel 6 and verse 8. So come, basically they're saying how could, because some scholars argue that this was to, as this brother said here, to eliminate they date the book of Daniel to the 2nd century BC to eliminate any supernatural privacy at this point. That's what some scholars do, and those scholars that say that anyway, they're paid off anyway. They know the truth that that's not the case. Just like these topics, just like Vocab Malone, and deep down he knows this is the truth, but he's paid off to come against it. But I believe personally he knows this is the truth.
Yeah, I believe that a lot of these Christian, what do you call them, apologists, they actually know that we're actually right, and they're scared. Revelation 11:11. Remember, it says, "Great fear shall come upon them that saw them." But let me get this to back you up. Isaiah 2:4, "And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." Okay? And then the next verse says, "O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord." Okay, so this is what you call a prophecy, and you apologists, you can't answer prophecies like this. But when the Lord returns, he says that he's gonna take away the weapons of these nations, okay, and the house of Jacob is gonna walk in the light of the Lord. All right, so like the Ak read in Daniel chapter 2:44. Was that Daniel 2:44 you just read?
Yeah.
Daniel 2:44 says that the kingdom shall not be given to other people. Right? Can you read that again? Daniel 2:44.
Daniel 2:44. "And in the days of these kingdoms shall God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people."
Right. That's why if you go to Isaiah 2 and verse 5, it says, "O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light of the Lord." At the beginning of that chapter, what does it say? It says, "The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, and it shall come to pass in the last days." Key phrase, "that the mountain of the Lord's house," which is the Gabar-yah-ahla, "shall be established in the tops of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it." That's that government. That's that kingdom that is going to be set up, an eternal kingdom that's going to be set up over the rest of the world. It says all nations are going to flow into it. As a Christian, what happens when you die? In Christianity, when someone dies, you either go to heaven for eternity or you go to hell for eternity. But that doesn't make any sense, because this is the establishment of the kingdom of heaven, right? So then, if the world's going to blow up, if everybody's going to be eliminated, and the only people going to heaven are the Christians that call on Jesus Christ, okay? Who are these nations that are flowing unto the house of the Lord in the last days, at the establishment of the kingdom of heaven? Okay? "And many people shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the house of Yahweh, the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways." See, you're not, at the end of Esau's empire, the world's not going to blow up. As a matter of fact, the nations are going to come to us, and they're going to ask, they're going to be put in subjection, and they're going to learn the ways of the Lord. Okay? And they're going to continue to live. We're going to continue to live on earth. All right? Esau Edom wants you to think that after him is nothing. There's nothing after him. Okay? If you don't worship his God, it's hell. If you get down with the program and take the chip and worship Jesus, then there's heaven. All right? But that's not what the word says. Okay?
And it says here, Daniel 2 and 34. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. That stone is Yahushua. Going back to it, and it always reminds me of because that statue was, the stone hit the feet. It reminds me of going back to Genesis 20, Genesis the 3rd chapter, and also Genesis 25th chapter, where the Lord tells the serpent, your seed shall be an enmity with her seed. You shall bruise her.
Bruise his heel, he shall crush thy head.
Yes.
Yep.
And let's see how once again in this chapter here, this is the Most High referencing that back in his book here. Going back to that, it says here in 35. Then was the iron and clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken in pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. Okay, I want to get Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 ones which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And this is the way out. Specifically the way how Yahweh is going to do this, by burning America as a whole. The Lord is going to burn America. That's the way he's going to break this statue. I'm going to go back to Daniel 7, verse 9 to 10. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head were like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheel as burning fire. His wheels as burning fire. Those wheels are the chariots of the Lord. 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before them. Thousands minister unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. This is going into the angels coming in and delivering the elect and destroying America. The judgment was set and the books were opened. The books being open is a reference to the destruction of America that's going to come.
That's right.
Because when you go back to Isaiah, it's referred to as a scroll being rolled open. It's not like the books being open, the prophecies being fulfilled.
Right, and the books being open, okay, it's not going to be a long-ass line. Everybody's walking up to the Heavenly Father and he's looking through a book and looking at what you did. No. Remember, the Heavenly Father says he wrote the end from the beginning. So the books are already written. The judgment's already been set. Okay? The books being open just means the actual fulfillment of prophecy is being played out right in front of you. Okay? And you're finding out what your lot is in real time. You're finding out, what was written about you before the foundation of the earth was laid. That's what it means when the books are open. So if you die in a terrible way, that's what was written in the book about your life. Okay? If you get saved by Yahushua and the angels, that's what was written in the book. Okay? About your life. That's what it means when the books are open.
Yeah, the judgment's going to be on the earth, not on in some heaven, some clouds
right,
somewhere.
Some alternate dimension.
This is in Daniel, Revelation 1:14. His heads and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. His eyes were as a flame of fire. That's Yahweh shall having the spirit meditating that terror. We shall meditate terror, that is the destruction of Babylon. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in the furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. That's the glory that Yahweh is going to come in, the power that he's going to come in.
That's right.
And the seven stars, meaning complete. The right hand represents the power that Yahweh is going to come with. Revelation 20:4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai, and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither he had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years. Once again, that's going to be the judgment. Having that witness. You had something there?
Yep, Isaiah 47:3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, I will not meet thee as a man. I just went into, the Lord's coming back in glory. He's not coming back as a lamb anymore. He's coming back as a Lion of Judah in his full glorified Elohim body. And he's going to, get busy. It says, as for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name. The Lord Yahweh of hosts is his name. The Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent, get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Daughter of the Chaldeans, another name, another code name, right, for Babylon the Great, aka the United States of America, the Lady of Kingdoms. I was wroth with my people, I had polluted mine inheritance, and given them into thine hand, and thou didst show them no mercy upon the ancient. Upon the ancient hast thou verily heavily laid thy yoke. Okay, so when the Lord returns, he's coming back to get vengeance, all right, for the treatment of his people under this revived beast, okay, that they live in, this system that they live in, all right?
Well, back to Daniel 7:10. A furious stream issued and came forth before him. That's the lasers from the chariots. Thousands and thousands administered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000. That's the angels bringing, shooting shit on fire here in Babylon when they return. Stood before him in judgment. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. Now let's get the precept here in Psalm 50:3. Our God shall come and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. That's going to be all the America being burned all around the sea of glass. Revelation 18:21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. That's the angel taking that great millstone. That's the same stone that it was symbolized in Daniel the 2 as destroying the kingdom of the heathens through Yahweh Shai. As we're breaking it down right now, as we just said, Daniel 7:11, and I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even so the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. And that's in Daniel 7:11 right there as well. The beast being slain, the body being destroyed. That's the body of America, the whole continent of America. It's the body being given to the burning flames. Now let's go. I'm gonna go back to Daniel 2:35.
Well, I got something real quick. Just to add on to that, because it says, thus was that great violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. Okay, this is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 10. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Okay, because Esau Edom, he did violence upon the children of Israel. All right. Let me get another one. This is Ezekiel 35. Ezekiel 35 and 6. And it says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue. Okay, so, like it said, thus with great violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. Okay, Numbers 35 and 33 says, roughly paraphrasing, that a land can only be cleansed of the blood that was shed therein by the blood of him that shed it. Okay, so Esau, Edom, there's no other way for America to be cleansed but by a massive, massive amount of Edomite blood to be shed here in this land. Okay, and it will be. And ultimately, the final amount is going to come via those missiles, those rockets that are going to be shot from all the ends of the earth. Okay, which really also goes into that great millstone that's going to come over, to Babylon the Great. Okay, and do the most damage. The ultimate end, the ultimate violence to Esau, Edom, is being melted. Okay, talked about that in the book of Zechariah, where their eyes melt out of their own sockets, their tongue melts out of their mouth. That's violence, okay? That's the violence of the Lord. The sword of the Lord shall be bathed in heaven, okay? In other words, the skies above us, okay? So this is the reason why the Lord said in Isaiah 34 that he has prepared a great slaughter in the land of Idumea, all right?
Got here on Daniel 2:35. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Notice how it mentions all the statues, metals, and 4 kingdoms here, just like Daniel 7 mentions all its body, because in Daniel 13:2, the parts of the other beasts were mentioned as being together. If you can get Revelation 13:2.
I can read it if you want.
Come on.
This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 2. And it reads, "And the beast which I saw, which was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority."
So right there, it's going back to Daniel 7:11, it says the whole body was destroyed. So that's going back to all the metals and stuff, the whole statue, all the hidden powers basically being put down. Because all these kingdoms represent each other as a whole, all the hidden kingdoms being destroyed. Yeah, okay. Similar, it's very similar to Daniel 7:19 here. I'm gonna get that here. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass. His nails of brass showing you the connection it has with the Greeks, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. The feet being the statue, the part of iron and clay once again. Daniel 2:44. I'll get that here. Daniel 2 and verse 44, and it reads here. "And in that day of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." Now this is Isaiah 9:6, speaking of Yahushua. "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." Verse 7, "Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from the henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this." Ezekiel 37:25, "And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. It's talking about the kingdom. Verse 45, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, and the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. Come on. You had something?
Yep. Joel 3:18, and it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation. Okay, that's the Lord said. What does it say? Daniel 2:44. In the days of those kings shall the Lord set up a kingdom that shall not be cast down. Okay, this is the result of that. Egypt shall be a desolation. Egypt being the United States of America, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. Okay, that stone that came out, that was carved out by no human hand, hitting the feet of that statue. That's what's going on here. Egypt shall be a desolation. Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. And Judah shall dwell forever in Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood. I will cleanse their blood. Remember, I just quoted Numbers 35 and 33, where it says how the Lord said He's going to cleanse their blood. But Numbers in the law that came out of the mouth of the Heavenly Father, He said the only way to cleanse the land of the blood is by what? By the blood of Him that shed it. It says, for I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion. So the Lord's going to come get revenge, all right? The Lord's going to get vengeance upon you Edomites, man.
You Hamites, you Ishmaelites.
Yep, you Moabites, Ammonites. Okay, you even Japheth's going to get it, man.
So going back to this. Yeah, so I just want to reiterate Revelation 13 and 2. Mentions a leopard, the bear, a lion. Daniel 7:19 represents, tells you the fourth beast had claws of bronze that's connecting you to the Greeks. Its feet stamped the residue. It stamped the residue with its feet that represented the end of the fourth beast, still stomping these other nations it has an ancient Roman Empire. And this is Daniel. This is so then now we're getting into the kingdom now. This is verse 45 in Daniel 2 and 45. It says, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces that iron and the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation is sure. This is Isaiah 2 and 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say unto ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God of Jacob, and He will teach us of His ways, and we will walk in His paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, proving that the laws, you're still going to have to keep the laws to you false Christians. And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And He shall judge among the nations. This is Isaiah 2 and 4. And He shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, showing you it's the new covenant, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Micah 4 and 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the kingdom of the house of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it. Obadiah 1 and 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink. Which once again, this is mentioning the kingdom to you false Christians. and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. The heathens shall be as though you had not been, meaning that you're going to be under the Israelites. Now I got some commentary on Daniel 2.
If I could get this real quick.
Yeah.
Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it surely will come. It will not tarry. The visions and the prophecies that we're reading about, okay, the edification that we're bringing out, okay, this is happening right now. All right, we truly believe that in the spirit, that the Lord is actually bringing these words to pass. All right, so though, you know, like people like our elders, Pastor Har, Pastor Gabar on down, they've been at this for 35, 40 years. And to them, I can imagine, like, it must seem like it's been tearing and tearing and tearing, you know, and that's no comparison to brothers like us who are just pretty much brand new. But, you know, the scriptures say it will surely come. It will not tarry, meaning it has an appointed time. There's an appointed time where the Lord, Heavenly Father, Yahweh, has appointed Yahweh Shai to enact these vengeful acts against this wicked kingdom. So yeah, we get upset with these Christians, you know, their false doctrine. We get upset with Jake being wicked. But guess what? It's all in good measure, because the Lord said there's a specific time where he's going to destroy these people, man. Okay, and we're here. We can feel it. We're here. Alligator Alcatraz is in full swing. World War III is about to get kicked off. Israel just bombed Syria. I believe that was yesterday. It could have been today. I can't remember. Israel just bombed another country. So now what will they do? They're fighting Iran. They're fighting Hezbollah. They're fighting Lebanon. They're fighting Yemen. They're fighting the Houthis. Now they're fighting Syria. What the hell is going on over there? These people have no control. Okay, because the Heavenly Father is ultimately in control. So, you know, it will not tarry, man. It shall surely come.
I'm going to read some of this commentary here. Daniel 2 and 32. If you read that, I'm skipping to 34. Without hand signifies supernatural activity. 35 to 36. In biblical imagery, a mountain is often a metaphor for a kingdom. See Psalm 48 and 2, Isaiah 2 and 2, Isaiah 11 and 9, Jeremiah 51, 25, Ezekiel 20, 40, Zechariah 8 and 3. The same is true in this case, as the later interpretation makes clear in verse 44. Verse 37, God has given you a kingdom. The God of Israel is the God of all nations, although the rulers of those nations may not have recognized him as Lord. That did not nullify God's ultimate sovereignty. That did not nullify God's ultimate sovereignty, nor did it alleviate the ruler's responsibility to him. 38. The head is the reference to the Babylonian Empire personified in Nebuchadnezzar. Verse 39 and 40. The image that Nebuchadnezzar saw in verse 31 and 35 represented 4 kingdoms that would rule over all the earth. The first worldwide empire, the head, the goal is verse 32, and was Babylon. Verse 38. The second empire, the chest and arms of silver. Verse 32 was Medo-Persia. The third empire, the belly and thighs of bronze. Verse 32 would be Greece, which we already got that. The precept to that in Daniel 8 and 21. The fourth empire, the legs of iron. Verse 33 is the only one not identified within the book of Daniel. Rome is the most likely choice for succeeding
Gabriel?
Greece.
I'm busy.
Hi.
What do you want?
You heard me knocking, Gabriel.
I'm busy right now.
Well, I'm sorry. I was looking for. When can we come down and see the baby?
Come back a little later. I'm busy right now. I'm in the middle of Bible study.
I'm sorry.
Slack you. Go ahead.
Let's see. Verse The image, the head is a reference to Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Greece, oh yeah, they said the Roman Empire. Rome is most likely a choice for its succeeding Greece, strong as iron. This Roman Empire was marked by strength, but it was destructive to strength. Verse 41 to 45, the kingdom shall be divided, may be a reference to the fourth kingdom, which it is. Differences about what it is meant by the 10 toes has resulted in widely varying interpretations. Which we have the interpretation. We're giving it to you. It's the NATO.
And you know, there's what's the scripture say? There's no private interpretation of the scriptures of the prophets. Okay, because you know, a lot of times people will say, well, you know, you that's your interpretation. That's your what would they say? Opinion. Well, there's no private opinion. There is one way to read these scriptures. There's one way to break these scriptures down. And that's the way that the Heavenly Father ordained and intended it to be, which you Christians don't have. Okay, it's clear you don't have it because you Christians have never, ever, ever, ever gone into history. You've never, ever, ever gone into prophecy specifically. We just asked the question. Remember, we walked up to preach. We said, where's Babylon the Great? He said, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, if you're telling us that you don't know these breakdowns of these prophecies, you can't go into Daniel 2, which is not a difficult breakdown, by the way. If you can't go into Daniel 7, you can't go to Revelation 13, 17, Revelation 18, you can't go to Revelation 11, Revelation 12, you can't go to any of these prophecies, Isaiah 44, Isaiah 47, you can't go into any of these, okay? And like the Ox said, we're giving you the interpretation. We're giving it to you. You can believe it, take it, leave it, do whatever you want to do, but this is true, man. Okay?
Yeah, we don't gotta guess if what breakdowns is this or that, or we don't gotta second guess them. We know that the breakdowns we've been given, the revelations that have been passed on to us by studying them, learning them, and to be able to teach y'all listening now, we know this is the correct 100% break truth.
That's right.
Going back to Daniel 7 and 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. The rest of the beasts. So the rest of the beasts was going into NATO. Prolonged for a season and time. And this is Ezekiel 38 going into how verse 12 is going to be fulfilled. I'll read it again. As concerning the rest of the beasts, this is the 10 horns after America is destroyed, which we already got that in Revelation 17:16. They're going to have their dominion taken away, yet their lives are going to be prolonged for a season and a time. This is all going to lead up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which I'm going to get a precept for this in Ezekiel 38 and 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Meshach's the ancient word for saying Moscow. Tubal is the ancient word for saying Turkey. And say, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws and will bring thee forth. This is verse 4, by the way. And all thine army, horsemen and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmar of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepared for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. This is the prelude to the third woe, and the prelude to the final battle of Armageddon. If you had something, then
I was just looking for a verse. I haven't found it yet.
I'll just keep going. Joel 3 and verse 9. Proclaim you this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. And this is what's happening right now. I just saw an article on Wednesday going into how North Korea is planning on upgrading their nuclear missile arsenal. And I just saw also how the U.S. now, Washington has ordered the U.S. Army to go and station themselves temporarily, set up military bases over there near the Panama Canal because of the China, how much of a threat China is increasingly growing by the day.
Okay.
So prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And this is what the Lord's working out right now as we're speaking. China right now is doing drills.
Yep.
Russia.
I got one.
Come.
Joel 3:11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened, and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fat overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes, the valley of destruction, for the day of the Lord is near, and the valley of decision. Okay, so like I said, the Lord is actually the one that's gathering these nations, all right? And you can see it. This is why the Lord told us to watch, okay? We're actually watching the prophecies play out in full time right in front of us, in real time right in front of us. We see what's going on with China and the whole Taiwan situation. Okay, that's going to be the next war that's going to pop off. All right, you think Israel and now they just bombed Syria. All right, that's another one that just popped off today or yesterday. Donald Trump. There was a leaked audio of Donald Trump talking to Zelensky, asking if he can hit Moscow with weapons. He said, if you give us the weapons, we can hit them. All right, so that's going to escalate things. So you're this whole World War III, the third woe situation, is right at our fingertips, man. It's at our fingertips. It's about to blow up. Donald Trump just threatened Russia with 500% tariffs if they don't end this war in 50 days. Okay? Which I believe something's gonna pop off before 50 days. So, you know, the whole Middle East, Western Asia is about to blow up with war. Okay?
I have this here. Joel 3:10. Beat your plowshares and the swords, your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. And like the brother mentioned, the elder mentioned last a couple of days ago, another older video that I saw, he was referenced basically, let the weak say, it says right there, let the weak say I'm strong, man. Let the weak say they're strong. That's basically how China and Russia already has missiles. The U.S. military is growing weaker, and they're all losing to these other smaller nations now. Now the weak, these nations that used to be looked at as weak, now they're. This is prophecy. They're basically coming up against America now.
Okay.
And I know you just read it, but I'm gonna read it again here. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So it's the Lord that's gonna do all this. It's doing all this right now.
Yep.
Let the heathen be awakened, and let them come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. It means Yahweh Shaphat means God shall judge. For there will I sit to judge the heathen round about. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. I'll jump it down to verse 14, Joel 3:14. Multitudes, multitudes. There's going to be many dead bodies there in the valley of decision. That's another name for it. The valley of decision. The day of the heathen. Yahweh Shai's return, basically. Yahweh Shaphat, I'm a God one.
Yep.
For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And that's the Lord gonna, basically, when he comes and annihilates the nations, the heathens.
Did you read Isaiah 14:9?
No, but I'm just
Go ahead.
got a bit more. Because I'm not sure how Yahweh Shai is gonna, I was trying to meditate on it the other day and trying to guess how Yahweh Shai is gonna do it. When we go back to the Middle East, I'm not sure if Yahweh Shai is just gonna shoot his laser and destroy all these nations when they come across the Euphrates River, or if we're going to be able to go down there as whoever the elect may be and to fight them with spiritual powers. I'm not sure how Yahweh Shai is going to do it. Well, that'd be interesting if Yahweh Shai allows us to go down there and use our spiritual powers to like some X-Men, battle.
That's right.
Shit.
I sometimes I pray for that. Because I think Elder Pastor mentioned it in one of his videos a while back that, when we come back down, New Jerusalem, coming down as a bride adorned for her husband, okay, we got our spiritual bodies, okay, we got our extraterrestrial bodies, we got spiritual power, okay, we're coming down like a bunch of Viltrumites and Kryptonians coming down from our ships, looking like 9 foot tall behemoths, okay? And when we get down here, Elder Pastor Tahar mentioned in one of his videos, they might try to fight us. They might try to, shoot at us a little bit, okay? Which is fine. I hope they do, because that'll be quailed quite quickly, all right? That'll be quenched very quickly, all right? Just for the Lord to allow us to have a little bit of fun before we, get to enslave these people. All right, which he's going to allow us to do. If you, Jeremiah 16 to 16, then I shall send for many hunters, right? Well, those hunters are going to be the men of the Lord, and I imagine it sometimes, this is me speaking as a man, sometimes I imagine it like, the Lord's got a hit list of people that he wants you to take out. He says, well, the Lord said he's going to send for hunters. What do you think that means when the Lord said he's going to send for hunters? What are you hunting? Well, we ain't going to be hunting deer like Esau. We ain't going to be hunting hogs like they do down in Texas. We'd be hunting people, man. The enemies of the Lord are the ones that are going to be hunted. Okay, the prey, what's the phrase? The prey has become the predator. We're going to become the predator, and the predator is going to become the prey. All right? But anyway.
We're going to get something there.
Yeah, I was going to read Isaiah 14 and 9 and 10, where it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming, stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from the thrones all the kings of the nations. Like I said, the nations are being gathered. Why? To come destroy Esau, Edom. All right. It says, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Okay. I just read the verse that says, let the weak say that I am strong. So, these nations like Iran, Afghanistan, China, North Korea, all these allied nations that are against the West, for such a long time, they haven't been able to put up a military that was capable of even thinking about coming against NATO, especially the United States. But now, the playing field's a little bit more even. Not only because those nations are getting stronger, but also because NATO and the EU and the United States mainly, they're becoming weaker, all right? They're becoming weaker as time goes on, the collapse of the economy, social disorder, No, this isn't the 1940s, this isn't the 1930s where you got a bunch of young 17, 18-year-old young men ready to go fight and die in a war across the ocean for America. That doesn't exist anymore. Nobody wants to fight for this place. Nobody wants to join the military and is proud of America and wants to, put their life on the line and go fight some war across in 2,000 miles away. Nobody wants to do that. This is part of what is making America weak, okay? Not to mention the fact that these other nations, they have missiles too. They can hit America too, all right? They weren't able to do that before, but now they can, all right?
If I may add to what you said,
Yep.
like the brother just mentioned, how basically America gave all these different philosophies, and also it's the foods too, the giving these people And basically, mainly the philosophy is to get in these people that has made these people hate America so much that even their own Edomites are hating this place. That's going back to the iron mixed with clay. They're partly strong, partly weak.
That's right. A lot of division in this place. Esau hates Esau. Even Edomites, even if you watch a lot of those videos, even Edomites are pissed off about what's going on at Alligator Alcatraz. Even the Edomites are pissed off about that. And now MAGA is divided. MAGA is split. Why? Because of what's going on with this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. Now all of a sudden, no, there's no list. There's no Jeffrey Epstein list. The whole thing was fake. It never happened. There was no island and nothing to see here. Okay? That's what a lot of his campaign was run on. Okay? A lot of his campaign that got him elected, a lot of people voted, millions of people voted for DJT, aka Nero, because he said he was going to expose that list. Then all of a sudden now there's no list. You want to know why? It's because he's on it, man. It's because he's on it. And he's probably on it quite a few times. All right? What was he doing going to that island so many times, man? All right? I saw a video. This guy made a spoof, a little gif of Donald Trump, and it had like this paper. It said Epstein client list. And they were pulling it out of a folder. Then all of a sudden, Donald Trump comes up, rolls it, crumples it up, and eats it. It says nothing to see here. It was funny, but the reality of the thing is there's going to be no justice here, man. This is Esau's kingdom. He ain't going to bring himself to justice. The police ain't going to investigate the police. Esau ain't going to put Esau in prison. He's not going to condemn himself, man. This is his kingdom, his justice, his way, his system. All right? We ain't going to get justice till Yahweh Shai returns, man. All right?
What time you gotta wake up tomorrow?
I wake up at 4. That's fine. We can finish whenever you want.
You can get the last one, then we can close out.
All right, let's go to Revelation. Just like, bear with me. Revelation, we'll get the last verse. Revelation 22 and 20. 20. It says, "He which certifies these things saith, Surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come the Lord Yahweh Shai. The grace of our Lord Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, be with you all. Amen." So the main point says, in red letters, it says, "Surely I come quickly." The Lord's about to pop up, man. We can feel the time going faster. The days are already getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Even the scientists put out an article that we're about to lose, like a couple seconds off of the clock, all right? Because the earth is spinning faster. The Lord said he's going to shorten the days, man. So we're here. It shall come. It shall surely not tarry, man. It's not tarrying. It's actually showing up now, all right? The word that the Lord spake is actually being fulfilled, all right? So, we'll close out with that. Anyway, with that, we'll close out. We'll give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth according to the Bible. We'll say Shalom,
Shalom.
and a Bible.
Bye.
Oh.